talk, it's time to rock. It's the Sunday show, it's ranking the tracks, and we've got somebody, if you guys haven't been aware, this guy sitting up here with me is Brad.
Yeah.
Hey, everyone.
Brad the haircut cook. Yes.
Yeah. It's all
If
gone.
you've
All
missed
gone.
Look at that.
if you've missed the Wednesday show and you're not up to date, you would have probably not be aware. You would probably not be aware that Brad's had a change.
Yeah, just a bit of,
yes. Well, yeah. Mm.
thought I'd get a bit of style about myself, trying to
Well done.
scrub myself up for the show to come back, something
Scrubbed
different.
up nice.
Hey, and I got this, so pretty happy. So,
you got it.
Yeah, I got it. And I actually, guys, I ordered for Unlawful Carnal Knowledge the expanded edition over the weekend since I got back. So I'm waiting for that to come in the mail. So
Good.
I'll do an unboxing for the channel. How's that?
Oh, please do. Because I ordered one on Friday as well. I managed to get a deal, but mine's going to take another 6 weeks before I get it, mate. Trust me, with our customs.
6 weeks.
Yeah.
Blimey.
If you want to do an unboxing, bro, would love to put it up on the channel. But yeah, good to see you. Good to see the backdoor man back. Good to see the Rock Professor back here, the three of us, and we've got some cool folks in the chat. The Rock Professor's going to do a shout out at. We've got probably a few tracks to crack on through on this album, folks. So we're going to sort of start off the intro pretty soon. But there's a couple of things that we want to do. Obviously, Simon and Brad. The first thing that I'd like to talk to you guys about is the Rory Gallagher Stratocaster. If you've been living under a rock, lots and lots of social media accounts have been talking about that. We haven't done a post yet. I might do something midweek for the channel asking what people think the Stratocaster might be going for. But before I do that, I'd like to ask Brad and Simon, in that order, how much do they think that Strat will go for? Because I think it's an icon. It's a blues icon, Brad.
Yeah. Well, I reckon it's always hard to say because I never expected, say, Gilmore's guitar to go as much as it did. So, I'd say at least $500,000. I'd have to be in that region, guys. What do you think? At least 500,000.
I think you're a bit cheap, bro.
Huh?
I think you're a bit cheap. I think
Really?
you're a bit cheap.
Yeah.
How often has anybody said that about you? You're a bit cheap, Brad.
I'm saying at least US dollars 500,000.
Oh, okay, all right, okay. Well, before I add my 5 cents, well, actually, we've got to include inflation now. 5 cents is worth fuck all these days, isn't it, Simon? Inflation. So my 50 cents worth. What do you reckon, Simon?
I reckon it could go for anything. It depends who's bidding. If you get bidders who really want it, it could go over $1 million. It's an iconic Strat. But if it starts off 500,000, and it could be that. It's very difficult to judge, isn't it? That's the beauty of auctions. You've no idea what's going to go expensive and what's going to go cheap. But so I think it could be anything. I'm going, it could be anything from 300,000 to $1 million. I think it, depends who wants it, who's bidding. It's one of those things, isn't it, where just where Rory Gallagher is well known to us, but he kind of, there's a generation who don't really know who he is, clearly because he died 30 years ago, whatever it is, and and his name will have faded a bit into the distance, and I don't know how much of an effect that's going to have. We'll see.
Who cares about them, Simon? Because that generation's got no money.
Well,
look, yeah, I'm saying starting at 500,000, guys. It could go up. It's an auction.
The
It's being auctioned, isn't it?
Oh. Yeah, it's an auction.
No, I'm just sitting still.
Yeah.
I reckon it's going to go for over $1 million.
Yeah.
Oh,
it'll get up.
yeah.
There.
What, $1 million New Zealand dollars? That's about 40 quid.
Yeah.
Yeah, €1 million. A million, at least £1 million. £1 million.
Euros.
So, yeah. I
Be good to
reckon
see.
it's
Be good to see a fan,
Jim.
a collector that loves Rory actually bid on it and win it. That would be amazing. But you've got guys like Bonamassa, maybe even Slash might bid on that because Rory Gallagher's a big fan of his. I mean, he's a big fan of Rory Gallagher, so you never know. Could end up in the hands of someone like Slash or Joe Bonamassa.
And obviously from that perspective too, bro, a little bit like the Greenie guitar. Then you got to hope that it's going to be played.
Yeah.
But yeah. So we'll be watching that. The events of that Stratocaster.
When is it?
We've ranked
When is
a couple of. I don't know.
When is it?
We've ranked a couple of Rory's albums already on the channel, folks. So if you haven't already checked those out and you're watching on replay, go and check them out, please. Some other good news that's been found, Brad, and you've got some sad news to tell.
Yeah, look, the good news is John Lennon's Vox AC-15. I think it's a 1962 Vox. As he's used to play it on Please Please Me and Love Me Do, it's been found. And I reckon it's going to be probably the most expensive amp ever to be on the planet once it goes to sale. I'm assuming someone like Paul McCartney should probably bid on it, guys. I don't know what you guys think, but I reckon that's going to go for millions and millions of dollars. That's that's big news. That's big news.
Big news.
Yeah. What do you guys think? I mean, that amp, it's not an amazing amp by any means. It's just an amp that he was using at the period of time. There it is.
How did it come to light? I
think I've discovered it. It's painted too. It's painted black. That someone's painted it. It's been discovered in what was it, Andrew? It was discovered in like a sale or something, wasn't it?
That's correct. Yeah. So it'll be interesting to see what.
Yeah, they're running they're just running to make sure the verification of it's actually his amp, aren't they?
Well, from what I've read and what I've been told, and I'm not a Beatles or a John Lennon nut. I'm pretty sure it's been confirmed.
Right. That's amazing. Yeah. It's amazing that it's just turned up all these years later. Isn't it?
Somebody knew something, maybe, eh?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So well, it'll be a lot of money, won't it? Because it's association with John and the Beatles. It's serious money. Get your wallets out, kids. Serious money time.
Yeah, I'm just gonna pull some money out of my top pocket later and bid on it. No problem.
I've got some on my back pocket.
Yeah. And Rory Gallagher's Strat, I'm going to bid on that too.
Well, a Vox, he played Vox and AC30, didn't he? He made the AC30s famous from a blues perspective. But I agree with what Brad said. We were having a chat the other day, folks, about it, and we thought that the perfect person, the guy with lots of coin, and the guy that we would like to see buy it should be, Paul McCartney, and Paul McCartney should pull out that Casino he's got, mate, that he's said many, many times is his most favourite guitar, and play that Casino through that AC30, that AC15. Wow.
100%. Wow. I totally agree. Good to see our brother Hoss. Thank you, brother. It's great to see you, mate. Yeah, we've got to catch up at some point too. We're Melbourne buddies that don't see each other. It's amazing.
Well, there's a couple of cool comments in the chat there. Jim is saying that the Irish government should buy it. I'm not opposed to that.
Yeah. Yeah, totally. It should go on.
Anyway, I interrupted you, bro. I interrupted you. Sorry, you got more news to talk about. Sorry.
Oh yeah. It's sad news. A luthier that's known in the industry, in the community, Joel Wilkins of JW Guitar Restorations, has sadly passed away. just wanted to, send my condolences to his family and the guitar community, people like Art Menez, Philip Sace, everyone that we've had on the channel, have had dealings with him and worked with him. I'm grateful that I'm proud to say that I've got some pickups of his in my Strat, my main Stratocaster, that sound phenomenal. So I'm always going to think of Joel now when I play that guitar. So I'd like to dedicate this show to him and, pass my condolences on to his family and the community. So he was an amazing, kind, giving, generous human being. There's not many like that in the world today. And during my time, going through the health issues that I had a couple of years ago, he reached out to me. He was sending me messages, and encouraging messages to get back on the guitar and, encouraging me to keep going and get back. You'll get back to where you were on guitar. Just keep going. Knowing his, injuries that he sustained when he was younger and things like that, the words that were coming from him were very powerful. So he contributed to me getting back on the horse and riding and practicing every day. And just God bless Joel Wilkins. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Indeed.
Yes. But that, he's in a good place now. So that's always a pleasant thought. Have we got anything else, guys, that we want to talk about before we get into the album? Maybe we should say
I'll say good morning to everyone in the chat. Yeah. So Derek, who's going to watch the show later. So good morning, Derek. Thank you so much. Ellen, of course. Good morning, Ellen. Hope you're well. Hugh Caldwell. One of the gang. Hugh, good morning, Hugh. Good morning, Gret Zeppelin. Morning, John, ZD351. We've got Simon Hosford as well. Good morning, Simon. Hope you're well. Good to see you. Hope you've clearly been working hard. But it's lovely to see you in the chat. Jonas Halberg. Morning, Jonas. We're hoping you might appear at some point soon. Giving nothing away. Greg Roberts Tune. Morning, Greg. How are you? Hope you're well. We've got scrolling down. Helen. We've got Arvin as well. Just under 50, Jim. Good morning, Jim. Congratulations on your 1K subs.
Yeah,
that's fantastic. Fantastic. And I know that Andrew's been chivying up his mates to subscribe. So big thanks to Andrew for helping with that. I think that's really good. We've got Tony Bowen in the chat. Morning, Tony. Good to see you.
Tony,
becoming a regular. Yes, tonight. Nail biting. Helena Hara. Good morning, Helena. How are you? Hope you're good. Nice to see you in the chat. Good. That's fantastic. Gret, Hugh. Hopefully, I got everybody. I think that's everybody who's made a comment. And yes, fantastic. So, as I say, on with the show.
Great to see everyone here and some friendly faces in the chat. I'm going to apologise in advance. I'm a bit out of practice, guys, so I'm going to do my best here. We're going to get back on the horse and ride. This is about 8 weeks now, so I'm looking forward to this for a few weeks as well. And I've missed doing these shows, so I'm looking forward to it. And I am very head coldy. I've come back to Melbourne from Greece and everywhere. I've been to Dubai and everything, and it's beautiful hot weather over there. And I come back here, it's freezing cold, and unfortunately, it's hit me like a ton of bricks. So I do apologise for the nasal, voice I've got today. But today we are ranking a fairly new album for us, guys. We usually do, very historical albums and whatnot. But today we're doing a new release. We're doing a contemporary release, and it's actually doing really, really well at the moment in the charts. It's Slash's album called Orgy of the Damned, and it's basically a blues record. And the blues is Slash is a very renowned blues rock guitar player. His roots come from the blues, and it's a fantastic album. And I think he's done an amazing job. Obviously, he's playing a lot of covers. It's all covers and one original song towards the end. But it's I think back in the early '90s, he had late '90s. Sorry, he had a falling out with Gunners, and he just wanted to do something fun for a while. And he had a band called Slash's Blues Ball, and he did a lot of these songs back then in the late '90s. And I know back then he wanted to do a blues record, and he never got around to it. And fast forward 20, 30 years or whatever it is, I'm not even going to try and work it out. He's finally done it, and he has to be one of the busiest working musicians in other than Simon Hosford. I think he just continually pumps out material. I mean, he's got another Slash and the Conspirators album ready to go. He's working with Guns. He's just touring all the time, playing all the time. He's got a festival he's started up called the Serpent Festival, and it's unbelievable. The footage I've been watching of that, guys, has been fantastic. And but onto the album. The release date was May 17 this year. I believe it was recorded 12 months prior to that, but he just couldn't release it because of commitments with the Conspirators and Guns N' Roses. Yep. But the concept of the album, Orgy the Damned, is like a collaborative blues cover project. Slash teams up with various predominant musicians and singers, and reinterprets classic blues tracks. And let me tell you, the productions and sounds of this record are wonderful. The instruments are breathing. You can really feel the skins of the drums with every hit. The strings are vibrating on guitars, the timbre of the guitars and the instruments, the blood on the vocal cords. You can really feel it all in this recording. The engineer, or basically the producer, was Mike Link. So Mike Link is famous for a lot of things, but mainly in my eyes for Appetite for Destruction, which is Slash's debut album with Guns N' Roses, and he's well known for his guitar tones and recording guitars really, really amazingly. And let me tell you, the sounds on this album are fantastic. Slash has changed over a few different things on this record, but the background, obviously, like I said before, he first delved into blues in about '96 after parting ways with Guns N' Roses, experimenting with blues. He had a group called Slash's Blues Ball, and like I said, 3 decades later, he's reunited with two of those band members, Johnny on bass and Teddy Andreas on keys, and he's got Michael Dramone on drums and Tash Neal on other guitars. And basically, the instrumentation is taken up with those guys. A lot of the sessions that were taking place were done at East West Studios and Slash's studio in Los Angeles called Snake Pit Studios, which has evolved a lot over the years. Collaborated on this with some phenomenal musicians, and I'll name them now. We've got Gary Clark Jr., the wonderful Billy Gibbons, we've got Chris Stapleton, Dorothy, we've got Iggy Pop, Paul Rogers, Demi Lovato, Brian Johnson, Chris Robinson, Tash Neal, and Beth Hart. The singles on this that we've heard so far are Killing Floor, and it was released on March 8. And let me tell you, I've listened to that so many times now. It's unbelievable. The sound I heard, I was blown away. And I won't go into too much about that now because I'll leave it for the rankings. And the fantastic cover of Oh Well, the Fleetwood Mac song, Peter Green Fleetwood Mac song, which was released on April 12. He basically picked songs that were significantly influential to him when he was younger, and the songs that made him want to start playing guitar. And on this record, predominantly, most of the musicianship is done live in a recording session. They jammed till they got the arrangement they want, then they went into the studio and just recorded it as live as possible. Obviously, there's vocal overdubs and whatnot, but the majority of the music is what you're hearing them play in the studio live. And I love that. It gives a real raw energy to the delivery of the songs. He's always wanted to do a blues record, so he finally done it. I think his main guitar, interestingly, on this, we know, he's a Gibson man. He's played 335s in the past, but predominantly he bought a Gibson 335 from Norman's Rare Guitars, which is a 63 335 Gibson, and that became his main guitar on this record. He used other guitars as well, including a Les Paul. Interestingly, he was a bit stale with that Marshall tone that was going on. He wanted something a little bit different for this record. He was going through all of the combos that he had, and I know that Billy Gibbons had introduced him to Magnatone, or that I think he actually left him with a combo, and he tried it in the studio, and he just thought that was the perfect amp for this project. And since then, obviously, Magnatone have been working with Slash, and they've released a signature 100 watt amp as well. But this is I think he's using a 50 watt Magnatone combo on this record as the main amp. I don't have much more to add, gentlemen, unless you guys do. There's not a lot more to talk about because it's not a historical album. We haven't got a lot of more information than we're giving you guys. Have you guys got anything you want to add to this?
Yeah, I have.
Yeah,
I've got one thing. Oh, if you want a bit of interview and background, Premier Guitar, John Bolger on Premier Guitar had an interview with Slash and a run through of the gear he used on the album and he's using live to promote it. So if you want to know more about that, it's a great watch, and there's a good interview with Slash at the beginning, and then they do his kit at the second half.
Cool. And there is on Gibson YouTube channel, they've got the making of, and they've just released the 4th segment of that as well. So that's really great to watch, the making of sort of thing, and to see that the singers in the studio pushing themselves and really trying to step up for Slash. It was really cool to watch. Andrew, have you got anything you want to add?
No, you've summed it up well, bro. And obviously people in the chat are making some great comments as well too. So it looks like they have been listening to the album. It's had quite an effect with folks in the chat too, bro. So look forward to the rankings. So
I got one more thing.
Yeah.
Funny. Yeah. That, I don't know whether he did, but there's a Orgy of the Damned is also the title of a 2023 film. Okay, so the synopsis of the film is, I'll just read this out. Okay, a man with an ape mask is searching for a boy with a Hessian hood in a maze of depravity, a pandemonium of our nightmares and darkest desires.
Look, he's a huge film buff, horror film.
Yeah.
It wouldn't surprise me. He just couldn't borrow that title.
Well, what a first sentence. A man with an ape mask is searching for a boy with a Hessian hood in a maze of depravity. I'm in.
Yeah. Just having a look at some of the comments here. Yeah, Hoss, the Magnatone combo, majority of the record is done with that, and a 335 guitar. I know he used some other guitars, Firebirds. I'm pretty sure he used an Explorer, and on the record, I think he used a couple of Fenders here and there as well. But you can hear that in some of the songs. But that combo there is what he predominantly used as his main tone. Slash is pretty simple sort of bloke. He likes keeping it simple. Once he finds something that works in the studio, he sticks with it. But if you know the history of Slash's recording, or his recording history, he's predominantly used, he's got a Magic Marshall tone and a Les Paul tone, and he's usually stuck with one recording Les Paul. He delves into other ones, but it's cool that he's done this, and I just wanted to ask you guys your opinion on this moving forward with Slash, and then we'll get into the rankings. For me, I think this is a really smart move for Slash to do a blues record, unlike other artists that have done it, that have come from hard rock backgrounds and whatnot, and as they get older, they dive back into their roots, and it really works for them moving forward because realistically, Slash is a hard rock guitar player, but he's a blues guy, and I sort of see parallels there now, a little bit like, say, Gary Moore. What he did was still got the blues. He released a blues record, and it invigorated a new career path for Gary Moore. And I'm assuming, maybe Slash will do another one if this one's so successful. And you never know. It might be the way Slash sort of leads himself into older age, playing more blues than Welcome to the Jungle. What do you guys think, Andrew? Have you got a similar thought pattern to that, or what do you think?
I'll save it for the conclusion, bro. For when
okay.
I rank the tracks,
Okay.
if that's okay. My opinion, if that's all right.
Yeah.
Thank you. I appreciate the opportunity to do it now, but I'll save it for the end, bro.
What about you, Simon? What do you think?
Well, I think I agree with you. I think that possibly if he does it again, he'd have to do an original album. I think a blues original album would be cool, and do some co-writing and clearly the getting guest vocalist in. Clearly he doesn't sing, so he's got to do that. But I think next time he goes, it's actually you've got to have probably do some original stuff, do a kind of Joe Bonamassa originals type thing.
Yeah,
which is a good template.
Yeah. I think he's mapping himself out, especially now that he's got this Serpent Festival. I think that's something he can do every year, every second year, or every third, whatever. Like Clapton's Crossroads, he can do a festival every now and again whenever he does a new album. So I think it's all, the map is mapping his career path out for the rest of his life. I think very smart man, and I think it's a really smart move, to be honest with you. Well, guys, I'm pretty keen to get into these rankings. I'm a bit out of practice with it, so I'm going to do my best. So I'm going to have, hopefully the guys in the chat can hold me up here a little bit, and I hope everyone's done their homework. And the first track is The Pusher, and it features Chris Robinson. He brings a gritty, soulful edge to this one, and it's a cover of that famously recorded song by Steppenwolf, Hoyt Axton's classic. The track is a standout with its extended blues rock jam. Chris Robinson's vocal perfectly complements Slash's guitar work. The collaboration, captures a raw, epic blues rock feel, sets the tone for the whole album. I've written down some highlights here, and I thought, like I said in the intro, the production and the sounds are killer on this record, and Slash's lead guitar work is timeless on this. I'm loving his tone. I think it's really, really good. It's not dissimilar to, previous Slash tones that we know, but it does have more of that less saturated sort of sound with the Marshall, and a little bit more growl, which is very cool. And the band is sounding so tight. I mean, you can go through the bass drums, the keyboards, the rhythm guitar. That it's like they're a well-oiled machine. And I'm assuming they probably didn't rehearse that much. They probably rehearsed a bit and just went straight in, because it's captured that sort of raw energy a little bit, which I love. I love the keyboards in the song. Teddy's added those keyboards that give it that sort of, that Steppenwolf sort of vibe, a little bit hippie as well. I kind of like that. The harmonica solo from Chris Robinson, it sounds live. I think he'd recorded it live. It sounds incredible. And I think it's a fantastic opening track for the record. I know Slash was, at one point meant to record on a Black Crowes record, and he never got to the session. They couldn't get him in, and that was on their first record, and it was meant to be on Hard to Handle, I think. And it's just good to see Chris Robinson working with Slash, and I know they've had a friendship and whatnot in the past, but Chris Robinson is an amazing singer from the Black Crowes, and we love the Black Crowes. The song has a Black Crowes feel to it, which is great. Look, without sort of waffling on anymore, I'm giving it a 10 out of 10, gentlemen, and it's never a skip from my point of view. Simon, I think you're next.
Cool.
Yeah, yes, I am. Sorry, I'm just, look. Oh no, he's born in Hampstead. Okay, it's wrong again. Sorry, there was an argument in the chat about where Slash was born. I thought he was born in Stoke, but apparently he's born in Hampstead. But, that teach me. The kind of yeah, the push it. Don't my first thing. Don't you enjoy the fact that the first line is "I smoked a lot of grass" and Chris Robinson is singing that? That's not irony. That's just funny. Made me laugh as soon as he came in. It's like, well done, whoever chose Chris Robinson to do that. So has got a sense of humour. So I thought that made me laugh a lot. I mean, it's great, isn't it? I mean, it's got a fantastic sound. You know, as you've said, it's got, you know, and I think they did record all the basic stuff live in the studio as a band. Certainly, the 3 or 4 of them got together in the you know, and in the studio playing it live, and I think you can tell that. You absolutely can tell that. Probably overdubbed the guitar solos, but certainly great. You know, great sounds, got that gritty sound, and I think it is quite different from his normal Marshall sound. Actually, that the Magnatone is a different sound. Good, really good, and the 335 is I think it is also the other thing that it's pretty original to the Steppenwolf one. If you listen to the Zoe one, it's not that dissimilar. Hoyt Axton one's just quite a lot of difference, but more of a country thing. It's got to, as I say, it's got a really good groovy tempo as well. You play live like that in the studio, and you get the swing that you need to have on these things. And it's got a groove to it that. It's not that fast. It's got that, but it's got a really good, groove to it that really settles in the band, settles in the people, and you're on safe territory, don't you? And some harp solo as well, and some great guitar solos as well. Kind of clear, very melodic, smooth. It's a pretty smooth sound he's got, isn't he? It's not, it's I don't know which pickup it is, but it's not that shrill thing. It's very kind of, it's quite mellow and quite smooth. I thought it was a pretty good sound, actually. That was a really nice sound,
Yeah.
At 335, I presume it is. So, he's doing its thing. Really good version. I'll give it 9 out of 10, but never a skip. Great opener, Andrew.
Thank you, Simon. Thank you, Brad. Thank you, John, Hoss, and Ellen, and who else is ranking in the comments as well. Brad, you gave it 10, bro.
Yeah.
Mate, when I first heard this track, I thought, God damn, because that's I'm familiar with the original track, but I think this is better than the original. Chris is just fantastic, and I think you nailed it. He's nailed the vibe.
Yeah.
And the rock professors mentioned the harp. The harp playing is sensational. It's clear notes on that harp. There's no 2 notes on the harp. So whoever's playing the harp is playing it very, very skillfully. And I kind of like that.
It's Chris Robinson doing the harp.
Really?
Yeah. Yep.
Oh my gosh, I'm blown away by that.
Yeah, he does it while he's doing his vocal take. He pulls the harp out and starts. Yeah, unbelievable.
Wow. I have to go. Wow. Okay, so he's playing that harp very, very well. He's playing the notes very good, which doesn't happen often normally with a lot of blues harp players, because they like to you can mix up the holes, you see, and get away with it when you're playing the blues. But Chris certainly is a skillful harp player then.
Yeah.
And the solo, that guitar solo, my gosh, the vibrato. I didn't realize actually how good of a vibrato Slash had, Brad, on on his technique. I can't recall, mind you, it's been a long time since I've listened to some Guns N' Roses. I can't recall him having a vibrato that's as good as what's on this opening track.
Well, I think his style just keeps developing. I mean, his Slash with Miles and the Conspirators, he's playing a lot like this, but the blues is obviously overstepping a little bit more on this record, so he's giving it a little bit more vibrato. And really, I think, we mentioned the different tone, and Simon, you mentioned the smoother tone with the 335 and everything. It's definitely, but it still sounds like Slash, which is something I love. I love the fact that, and we've brought these topics up on Van Halen shows and that we've done, and other things that we've done, but it is in the hands, and Slash has got that style with that vibrato, and I think we're hearing it a lot more on this record, is what I'm getting at, Andrew. But it still sounds like Slash. Still sounds like Slash, which I love.
Yeah. So I'm not familiar with a lot of that stuff that he did with Miles, but hearing him play the vibrato on this track really, really, really grabbed my attention. I thought, wow, he's doing what blues guitar players need to do, and we didn't necessarily get a lot of that on the Guns N' Roses stuff, because clearly he's playing a different, it's a different style of music. So, but for me to hear that, I'm thinking, my gosh. You guys have covered that, so I won't repeat that. Love the vibe. Disagree wholeheartedly with Hoss that this isn't a good track to open the album. Hoss, I love you, bro, but I think it's a perfect song to open up the album. And I too, Brad, have given this a 10 out of 10. I'm excited. Track 2, bro.
I would say, on behalf of Mr. Hosford, I understand where he's coming from. I think to open with that kind of groove opener is quite a bold move. I think if I'd been programming it, without hearing it, I probably would have gone with, one of the more upbeat ones from Crossroads, or, one of the more upbeat ones to really kick in. And we'll get into those later. So I understand that, where Simon's coming from, that, in your programming stuff, it's, I think it's fine as an opener, but I understand where you would go for a more upbeat, more up tempo number to start. So I have some sympathy with that position.
I'm in two minds. I'll I think it sits well. Maybe it's just because I'm used to listening to it the way it is now, but I like it. It sort of leads you into what's to come a little bit. But yeah, it's cool. So the second track, gentlemen, the second track is Crossroads, which features Gary Clark Jr. And obviously this is a cover of Robert Johnson classic, which is made famous by Cream, and it's delivered masterfully well here. The performance is great. The dynamic interplay with Slash and Gary Clark Jr. creates like that electrifying sort of atmosphere. The track pulsates with energy and passion. It is a highlight of the record. I'm not a big fan of hearing people cover this song now. For some reason, it's done too much. But I like that they've actually sort of started off with a bit of a rockier edge, sort of more approaching the song a little bit more like Cream, but they give it their own vibe, and it breaks down in the middle, which is really cool. The band are really tight. Gary Clark Jr.'s vocals are smooth. He's got that timeless sort of smoothness to his voice, which he executes it wonderfully. The solo exchanges between Slash and Gary are fantastic. Like I said, I love the breakdown section. The addition of keyboards in this song, it gives it more of a soul vibe, I think, even though it's a blues standard. Gary Clark Jr., if you listen to his music, he's got a bit of an edge to it, which I like. But, the collaboration here with Slash is really, really cool. I haven't got a lot more to say about this. The first couple of listens to this, I thought this is cool, but it grew on me a little bit more the more I listened to it. Maybe it's just because of my disliking to hear people cover Crossroads now, because a bit maybe too used to hearing just about every blues artist do it. But initially my ranking wasn't as high as this, but I gave it a 9 out of 10 and never a skip, guys. Simon.
Yeah. Oh, interesting. Yeah. Well, I mean, it has to be said, and you could probably argue with that with quite a lot of the tracks on here, isn't it? You know, they're all pretty well-known tracks. You know, Hoochie Coochie Man is next. You know, and kind of, you know, I never mind, but I must say I don't particularly mind. I thought this was great. Actually, I thought it was a really good version of it. I really enjoyed it. It's got plenty of zip and energy to it. You know, as you say, Gary Clark and Slash, you know, they play off each other really well. I think that slow bit in the middle is what makes it really, is what, you know, what changes it up. Version wise, drop down, and as you say, there's quite a lot of organ on this you got an earthquake.
Heard something come in the roof or something. You know? It's probably
coming to the roof.
You know.
Yeah, I think it's got a lot of organ on here. So you've got that classic kind of, you know, guitar, bass, drums, organ kind of, you know, quartet as the basics. You know, of the album. I think it's got plenty of zip, plenty of energy to it. I really enjoyed it. And I gave it a 10 out of 10. Never a skip. I think, you know, and that middle section is what makes it really drops down and takes it. And then at the end, he goes, sweet. Really cool. Andrew.
Yeah.
Cheers, guys. And again, everybody in the chat, thank you again for contributing to the show. Look, you guys have made a big deal about the big thing on the song, and it's the breakdown. It's fantastic, isn't it? I love the drums on this, Brad. The drums are pushed up. The drums are in the front of the mix on this track. Love that. But no bass, bro. No bass.
You to see now you've ruined it by going in on track 2 with the oh dear. There isn't much, is there? There's nothing to say. I don't think I've written one note on any of the tracks that talk about the bass playing. Not at all. Interesting. Sorry, Andrew.
No, it's okay. So no bass for me on this. And again, I'm going to reiterate what I started the ranking up with. You know, that breakdown section at 2 minutes and 80. So, and it's really cool. It's really clever. It's good, and you could imagine them doing something like that live and turning it into a 10-minute song. You know, which wouldn't be bad, necessarily bad. You know, you know, it'll be pretty cool. But guys, I've given this an 8 out of 10. Brad, it's never a skip though. And you know, it's a good effort for a song that's really, 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 really well known.
Yeah,
Brad.
Yeah. Interestingly, I don't feel like in my world I haven't over listened to it. I haven't you know, I haven't heard it a million times. You know, it comes up sometimes, and I, you know, because I don't have a million versions of it in my record collection, so it doesn't come up. So for me, it's still quite a fresh kind of, you know, fresh thing, and it's such a great song as well.
It's great. It is a great song, and you know, I'm not saying that I don't enjoy it. I just maybe that sort of affected my ranking a little bit, but I try not to let that stuff affect my ranking either. Hoochie Coochie Man, you know, this song has been done a lot, but you know, Billy Gibbons has got an unmistakable voice, guitar style that shines through on this, and this Willie Dixon classic. It's got that swampy, gritty blues feel. You know, and Billy Gibbons and Slash trading licks here. It elevates the track, in my opinion, and makes it more memorable. Always been a favorite blues track of mine. Highlights I've written here: Billy Gibbons in big writing is the highlight. I think Billy Gibbons is the man when it comes to the blues, and I love his vocal take on this. He makes it like a signature blues track with his vocal. I love the harp that's in the background playing the riff. along with the guitars. The solos from both Billy and Slash are fantastic. I love hearing Slash play slide as well. I'm pretty sure it's Slash playing the slide. And seeing Billy Gibbons when I watched the making of videos on Gibson's YouTube channel, playing a signature Slash Les Paul, I thought that was a real buzz to watch that. I thought that was really cool. I really love this version, and it's probably one of my favorite versions of this song. My other favorite of this would be From the Cradle guys, Clapton doing this song. But this one's right up there. I've given it 10 out of 10 and never a skip. Simon.
Yeah, I mean, it's a Gibbons growling it out in suitably gritty and sleazy, kind of manner. I mean, it definitely suits him, doesn't it? It suits his vocal style as well. So it's a well chosen on that. But it's mainly about the solos, isn't it? There's quite a lot of guitar solos going back and forth. Yeah, I mean, it's a fine version. I don't have a huge amount to say about it. I give it 8 out of 10, but I wouldn't skip it. It's you got to go some to beat the Muddy Waters version in my books.
Yeah.
Andrew.
Yeah, you guys are fantastic with your rankings, and I just had brain fade, Brad, because as soon as you mentioned the making of this, watching this, and I remembered, of course, I've seen that video with Chris playing the harmonica solo on the opening track. So forgive me. You're right. Yeah. So I'd forgotten that, but you're right. Yeah. After you mentioning this, yeah. Look, I agree with what you said, Brad. This song was made for Billy. It was. And again, I think he's taken this song. There's a lot of versions, as you've said in your intro, of this song. It is a classic. It is one of the greatest blues songs ever, isn't it, Simon? Written especially for Muddy Waters, and it's one of the songs that made the blues, electric blues, powerful and well known. So again, I'm echoing a lot of what you've said about Clapton's version on From the Cradle, which is just powerful, plugged in, played live.
Yeah.
And I think that's where you get that excitement from and that energy from. And I get that when I'm listening to this, between Slash and Billy. You could just imagine them just having big smiles, trading those licks. There's some special moments on this album, bro, and this is one of them for me. Got a little bit of bass on this track, bro. Got a little bit of bass coming through, which is good. Bro, I wanted to give it a 10, but I'm not gonna, because there's some great songs on here, so I'm giving it a 9.
Yeah.
It's a 9 out of 10, and it's never a skip, but certainly a highlight on the album for me.
Yeah. Well, that brings us to track 4, which is Oh Well, featuring Chris Stapleton. Chris Stapleton brings his powerful country-infused voice into this Fleetwood Mac's Oh Well, which is an absolute classic Peter Green era song of Fleetwood Mac. The track is guitar-centric showcase, and with Stapleton and Slash delivering on high-energy performance that blends rock and blues seamlessly. It's a thrilling standout moment on the album for me. I can't tell you how many times I've listened to this version of the song since it's been released. It's been on almost daily rotation on my travels through Europe and everything. I love it. The highlights of this song, I'm not too familiar with Chris Stapleton prior to this, but this is what an introductory to him, to learn about him this way. He rocks, and I love the acoustic sounds through the intro and everything like that. Then the growling of the electric guitars, the way they come in. The band are just cooking on this. They're on all over this like a fat kid on a cupcake. They're just all over it. The bass, the drums, the guitars, the vocals are stellar. I have to say, this is one of the best covers of this song I've ever heard. And at this stage, this is my first 100 out of 10 and never a skip, guys. It's one of the highlights of this record. It's phenomenal. I'm going to hand it over to Simon now, but 100 out of 10, never a skip. Simon.
Yeah. See, I'm a bit more equivocal about it than you are. I think it's a great version, and I think but I think that my problem slightly with is that it's pretty faithful to the original. Why wouldn't it be? And I don't know. I just kind of thought to myself, I got into that mode of comparing it to the original, and then then all hope is lost, kind of thing. Of kind of faffing about, and then going, the original, and then not the original, but so I went a bit back and forth with this as I say, to me, it's pretty much faithful to the original, and it's got the it's got the classic riffs on it. It's got, I think Chris Stapleton's voice suits the, again, chosen wisely, with that kind of slightly weary, world weary lyrical content that you have to have. So you can't have somebody, jolly and couldn't have me doing it. You got to have somebody with a bit of gruff and a bit of grit. And I think that works really well. And I think that's perfect to the thing. I think it's got that kind of fast section as well that it all works and it's all fine. As I say, I just got into this kind of bit of a whirlwind. The original, but it is 9 out of 10, and it is never a skip. I wouldn't skip. It's a great song, and it's a great version of it. I think I just started to overthink it, and once I'd started, I could bloody stop. Andrew.
Yeah, I'm a Chris Stapleton fan, bro. So I'm very familiar with him. When Traveller came out in 2016, I love country music and roots music, or Americana, whatever you want to call it. And I was turned on to him by Carl, actually, believe it or not, and listened to that first album that he came out with, and fell in love with the guy because he's the real deal. He's not this manufactured country singer that's full of that's everywhere in America. This guy's the real deal, and I think that's what turned a lot of people onto him. So when we found out that he was going to record this version, this was recorded, I released, I think, at the second or third single, wasn't it? Second or third single?
Second one.
Yep. And I remember thinking, how's Chris going to sing this? Were they, because my immediate reaction was, were they going to country, because this ain't going to work. And then when we heard it, it's like, because if you're familiar with Chris, Tennessee Whiskey, a song that he does, and Stoned, and the guy can rock it out, bro. The guy, he's, and he can play the guitar too, bro. He's a guitar, he's hot. Man, this guy's, normally plays Jaguars and stuff like that. So blown away. And you guys know that we love Fleetwood Mac and we love Peter Green. So if you're going to do a Fleetwood Mac song, you got to get it pretty well right, Simon? And I like the fact that it's faithful, but it's one of the best cover versions I've ever heard. I agree with you there, Brad, and I think it's a little bit slower than the original.
It's got a bit more growl to it.
Yeah,
they're actually pretty similar tempos. I did one of the things I made a note. They're pretty much the same tempo, which is interesting. Yeah.
And I just think it's fantastic. And you mentioned a word, and again, we're not reading notes or swapping notes here, ladies and gentlemen. You said there's a centricity of the guitar, bass, and drums, and I've made that note here. The guitars, the bass, and the drums are playing tight on this.
Oh yeah.
And I think it's one of the standout tracks for me. I've given it a Brad score too.
Right.
Yeah. We've been pretty much in the ballpark so far together. I agree this song Hoss could have probably opened the album. It's that good. But
good point.
I kind of like an album that leads to a song like this by the third or fourth track, you've got a real belter. That third or fourth track, it really knocks the album into gear. I kind of like that as well. So we're up to track 6, are we? Yeah, Awful Dream, Iggy Pop. We might actually...
No. Keys to the Highway. Keys to the Highway.
Oh,
Dr.
yeah,
Sorry. Look.
Yeah.
Sorry, guys. Yeah, I'm jumping the gun a little bit because I'm thinking about when we're going to show some photos. So we might show some photos after 2 more songs, guys, I think. What do you think?
Cool, bro.
All right. So Key to the Highway featuring Dorothy. Dorothy's vocal in this take sort of takes center stage of this song, and her performance is emotive and reminiscent of like Janis Joplin for me, the way she sings on this. And I think Slash's guitar work complements her vocal performance so well. It makes this track compelling and soulful, and that interpretation of this song is amazing. For the highlights, I put how great is Dorothy's vocal on this. I love how the band have put a little bit of swing to this version of the song. Slash's solos are classic. They're timeless. His bends, his vibratos, I've written that, are outstanding. The band, again, they're really tight. They've got this down pat, this blues thing. They're really tight. Again, you can tell this is live in the studio, which I love that. It's got that rawness to it. And that interplay with Dorothy and Slash is fantastic on this track. I've given it a 9 out of 10, Andrew, and never a skip. It's fantastic. It's a great song. Key to the Highway is always one of my favorites. I know Simon's disappeared on us, so maybe he doesn't want to rank this song. I don't know. But
here's the rock professor. Here he is, here, bro. Here he is. Here he is. We'll get him in. We'll get him in.
Sort of ringing me up, and then the headphones don't reconnect.
How dare they ring you?
What do you think I'm doing? Are you awake? Yes, I'm doing it
now, Simon. You didn't take phone calls.
Well, no, it's fine, but the trouble is, then it doesn't reconnect my headphones back to the show. So you're coming out of my, so I have to go out and come back in again. Anyway,
Key to the Highway, Simon.
What'd you give it?
I gave it a 9 out of 10, Simon, and never a skip.
Yeah, that's cool. So I agree. I mean, I'm not one of those people who's overheard this, so it's still one of my favorite Clapton songs. So it's still one of my favorite songs. I just love that. I've got the Keys to the Highway. Just has a kind of that kind of restless feet vibe to it, and it's got a different intro. That intro is really different, isn't it? When they start off before they go into it, and then Dorothy counts it in, and Dorothy, somebody I didn't know at all. I'd never heard of her at all. Had you heard of her before?
I have, but not really investigated her or anything.
No. So, but great singer. She does a fantastic job of singing it, and I like this kind of heavier sound with those great sounding guitars as well. It gives it some real drive, and if nothing else with this song, with the title like Key to the Highway, it's got to have some zip to it, hasn't it? Some drive. You've got to be pushing it along a bit, kind of thing. Otherwise, it's not slowing down. So great guitar solos. I like the halftime verse at about 3.5 minutes. That's really cool as well. Yeah. They drop down to that halftime, and then they go back to the original for the vocals and the solo guitar at the end. So for me, a great version, and I really liked it. And look forward to it. 10 out of 10 from me. Never a skip. Really good. And I also like the contrast of having a female vocalist. You've had 4 tracks of various guys, then you've got a female, and I think that's a really good contrast to and chosen wisely. Andrew.
Thanks, mate. Hoss is making people, especially John, hungry in the chat for donuts or cupcakes, and and
we're all DMing him for his. We're all DMing him for his British sticky lemon pudding recipe.
I think I think I started something there by saying the band are all over it like a fat kid in a cake.
Yes,
right.
yes.
John made
You
fun
are
of
to
it.
blame.
They're all talking about cupcakes. Now I'm getting hungry.
Yeah. And Alan and Helena have ranked it 9 out of 10 too. So they're on the money with this track. I have to agree with you too, Simon. I think it's one of my favourite blues tracks. One of my favourite Clapton tracks, Derek and the Domino tracks. Told you guys many times it was one of the first blues songs that I ever learnt to play right through. So you know, this song has a big place in my heart, Brad. And boy, this is a good version of it. So I don't know anything about Dorothy at all. Don't know who she is. But I have to tell you, by this song, Brad, after listening to it, you get the idea that Slash, as a guitar player, is the real deal when it comes to blues. You know, that first solo on this song's incredible.
Yeah.
You know, he's no fake. There is a love of playing this kind of music that comes through, and I think he's holding it and sort of treating it with the reverence I think that it deserves. I'm picking that up on this song.
Cool.
And clearly, you know, the vocalists are doing the same thing. So I've given it the same ranking that Helen and Alan have given, 9 out of 10. And I've got to back up what Simon says too. You know, if there was just dudes singing on this album, it would have been great. But the fact that he's decided to bring in some woman to sing is even better. So yeah, good point.
Yeah, she has a rock band called Dorothy. She's called Dorothy Martin, and she has a rock band called. They're from Los Angeles, California. And they formed in 2014. So
I'll check them out.
Done some stuff in America.
It's great to hear female vocalists singing the blues. It's you know, there's something really cool about that. And Slash has worked with females in the past, so it's not something that's uncommon to him. So you know, he likes to bring in females to break it up and you know, share the love, so to speak, because you know, female blues artists are just as equally as amazing as male blues artists. So we'll do one more song, I think, guys, and then maybe look at some photos. The next song is Awful Dream, and it's a Lightning Hopkins song. I am familiar with this song, but I've never heard anyone cover it before. And I'm not sure if you gentlemen have, but I know that Slash has worked with Iggy before, and I believe the intent was to get Iggy doing a blues track on this record, and Slash contacted him and said, "What song would you like to do?" And he said, "I want to do Awful Dream" by Lightning Hopkins. So Slash put together an arrangement and paired it up with Iggy, obviously, with his distinctive vocal. And it's got that haunting, intimate sort of atmosphere that's going on. It's unexpected, you know, and it's brilliant. It showcases a different side to both artists, I think. It's got that great acoustic sound. I love 12-string acoustic blues. I love it. And Slash does it really well. Iggy sounds like a true blues singer from way back here. He doesn't really, you know, we know Iggy Pop and we know what he's famous for and all that. And to hear him sing blues, it's again, it's great to hear stretch out and do different things. The vibe of this song is haunting, like I said before. I love the guitar playing. The guitar solos on the 12-string are amazing to me. I love that sort of vibe. It's got that more less is more approach on the guitar here, which is fantastic. It's a really good version of this song, and I think it sits really well in the middle of the album here. I'm glad it's on the album as well, but I gave it 8.5 out of 10, guys, and never a skip. Simon.
Yeah, it's I mean, following the introduction of the female, you know, Dorothy on the previous track, then you go quite out there, don't you, with an acoustic blues song, and James Osterberg III. doing his classic Iggy Pop, that kind of half spoken, half singing vocals that suit it so well, you know. So it has a kind of atmosphere that is fantastic. I think, you know, again, the much sparser sound, as you said, 12-string acoustic, just bass and drums, but kind of pretty sparse stuff. And he's singing, like, quite intimately as well. Iggy Pop is not sort of declaiming too much, but a couple of nice acoustic guitar solos as well. I think the contrast is fantastic on this. I think the contrast, with a lot of electric stuff, to have that contrast on it is, and the first track is really good. I gave it 9.5 out of 10 and never a skip. It's fantastic track. Andrew.
I agree with you, Brad. I think the acoustic guitars on this song are fantastic. I can't stand the vocals. I think it's horrible. It's 5 out of 10. I think I'm being generous there, and I'd always skip it. I'm sorry, guys. I'm sorry. I don't find any. If it kept it as a solo, it'd probably be a 9 out of 10. Sorry, as a instrumental, Brad, it'll be a 9 out of 10. But yeah, I'm not a fan of Iggy at all.
Oh dear.
Well, Simon, is that ground? That'd be almost grounds for a timeout, surely.
I mean, completely, absolutely. It's like one of the greats of American garage rock.
So you gave it 5 out of 10.
All of it.
Yeah, 5 out of 10.
A skip.
Sorry. I'm staying here.
Oh, goodness gracious me. Hopefully we can bring some credibility back to the channel on the next song.
5 out of 10 and a skip, mate. God, off with the boss's head.
Always a skip too, Simon.
And always a skip. Never listening to it ever again, ever.
Never listen to it. Never listen to it again.
Did you listen to it all the way through, or did you skip it halfway through?
No, a couple of times.
A couple of times.
I've got to say, I think that's probably one of the lowest scores that Andrew's ever given.
That, and I think the other 5 I've given, bro, is Parchment Farm on the Beano album, where John Mayall is singing and playing the harp. That's a horrible song.
That's not very good, is it? No.
I think that might even be a 4. But yeah,
Oh, jeez. Poor Iggy never gets the.
Thanks, Tony. Well, we can't bullshit. Can't bullshit, Tony.
No. We're only teasing him, Tony, because it's fun, not because we disagree. Wind the boss up, otherwise no fun in it, is there?
Everyone's entitled to their opinion, and it's good to be honest. It's good,
even if you're wrong.
Hoss has given it a 4 out of 10.
Oh, look at that! Boo!
Oh, boo! I'm gonna have to time you both out. These are both timed out.
Honestly,
right, let's bring some credibility back to the channel, guys, and show some photos. Let's show some.
Right. Yes, let's get him.
So just hold on for a second while I tee it up. So at the start, I'm just going to highlight 2 photos, and then Brad's going to go through and talk about the rest of them. But there's the amp there. Yeah. And if you go and watch the documentary on Netflix, the what is it? The album, the ZZ Top, the ZZ Top documentary. You can see when they're playing, they've all got magnetones, and so you're right. So clearly that's where Slash was heavily influenced, wasn't he, from Billy?
Yeah, I think Billy might have even left him with a combo in his studio at one point.
Oh, really?
So I think that's where it came from. Yeah, and he tried it out.
Not cheap amps, bro.
I think at the time, of recording this record, Slash was going through all of his combos because he was a bit stale with the Marshall thing and wanted to try out something a little different for this record, and hooked onto the Magnetone, and that was it. He loved it. So that's why now he's got a Slash Magnetone. What is it? He's done like a signature amp with Magnetone now, which is a 100-watt Marshall, 100-watt head, not Marshall, 100-watt head and quad box. It's got a real Marshall tone, but it's a little different. It is a little different. That's Tash. That's the rhythm guitar player. He plays a little bit of lead here and there, but he actually sings on a song coming up as well, Living for the City, which is Stevie Wonder's song. And when they play live, he's doing the majority of the singing with the band. It's Gary Clark Jr. in the studio. So he's
the Magnetone Slash signature amp is only £7,500.
Yeah.
It's only, that's all.
Not cheap.
That's great news. Free delivery.
Yeah.
3-year warranty.
Chris Stapleton. That's Chris there. That's Chris Stapleton.
Go and check him out, ladies and gentlemen, if you haven't checked out Chris Stapleton. He's got 4 albums out. Three albums out. Coming to New Zealand end of the year. Wow.
That's the that's part of the promo, which is the full album cover. And obviously it's a little modified for the CD cover, but that's the whole vibe of the. I think it's got a cool vibe actually. Not sure about the title of the album, but it's got something. That's the wonderful Billy Gibbons.
Mm-hmm.
And he's playing. If you have a look close look there, he's playing a Slash signature Les Paul, which I think is pretty cool.
Did he restring it in the studio and put his 8s on there, bro, or was he playing with Slash's 10s?
I have no idea, mate. I have no idea. No idea. That's a big jump for him, because I think Slash plays. I think Slash plays with 11s. To be honest with you.
Oh, really? Oh, yeah. He does because yeah.
But who knows? Maybe they've got guitar techs on hand, so maybe they've switched over the strings. Who knows? That's Beth Hart. Is a phenomenal singer and has a solo career. Works with Joe Bonamassa as well, amongst others. And so that's Slash's 1963 Gibson 335 that he bought from Norman's Rare Guitars. And now Gibson have done as they do, anything related to Slash, they make a signature version of it. They've made a replica of that. They've done a run of 50, I think, of them, and sold it. So good luck if you wanted one. There's Andrew's favorite singer, Iggy Pop, with a nice white smile. Slash was part of the promo for this record. Changed his top hat. It's back to the leather one. Slash in the studio. I think that's a pretty cool picture of him playing a Les Paul. Obviously, there's Les Paul on the record too. So, that's Paul Rogers. Hoss, yes, I did hear that too, that Gibson paid for the record. Well, they recorded it as part of Gibson released it on their label. So but that's a really cool photo of Slash again with his 63 335. I think it's a marvelous looking guitar. Sounds great. Brian Johnson of AC/DC, which we're yet to get to his song, which is
the legend.
Did an amazing job. Steven Tyler, who did the harmonica and the screams during the solo, with his unique.
He's an original.
Voice. He's a Hellbent original. There's no one like him. I still
my heart grew for him when I saw him on that Fleetwood Mac tribute show that he did a few years ago. The guy was just phenomenal. Just got so much charisma, hasn't he?
Yeah, and I love watching him, like say for example when he honoured Paul McCartney and sung the medley, the end and stuff like that. He's an amazing guy, amazing performer. And watching the making of Pump back in the day of Aerosmith,
yeah.
I just saw how much of a genius he was. I thought I'd highlight this poster of Slash's festival, Serpent Festival. Obviously, it's a blues festival, and I'm hoping that it's something that Slash continues to do moving forward over the years. And if he ever needs a blues artist to join from Australia, I'm happy to do it, Slash. So, that's Dorothy there, seeing her.
That self-promotion, honestly.
Yes, well, you know what, Simon? No one else is doing it for me, so I'm going to do it.
No, I was going to say that, yes.
You got to do these things sometimes, don't you? That's Demi there, Demi Lovato. So she's got a great voice, and her song's coming up as well. That's the inner to the record. That's the inner page there, which is cool. It's got all these pictures we've probably looked at anyway. But yeah, there's a lot of pictures there. But thanks, Andrew, for showing them. I thought it was pretty important to show some of those pictures. So.
Thank you, bro. Thank
morning,
you for
Ben
flicking
Tom.
them through.
Good morning, Ben Tom. Hope you're well. Playing his guitar, 4 o'clock in the morning.
Hey, Ben, it's been a long time no here. Good to see that you're around, bro. Good to see.
Hope you're good, man.
Always good to play guitar while you're watching these things, Ben. Yeah. That's for sure.
4 a.m.
I do it. It distracts me though. But yeah. Next track, the amazing Paul Rodgers featuring on Born Under a Bad Sign. I know Slash loves this guitar riff and he loves Albert King. So it was without a doubt something that he thought he had to put on this record. He's never actually performed it with the Blues Ball before, but I know he's performed it on stage with other artists. And when it came to recording this album, he said this was one of the songs that has to go on there. I know Paul Rodgers and Slash have worked together in the past. I think Slash played on one of the songs he released back in the day called The Hunter, which is a cover. And when Band of Gypsies got together with Slash, Paul Rodgers stepped in on vocals and they did a Hendrix cover of I Don't Live Today, which is outstanding. And Slash really idolizes, or one of his heroes is Paul Rodgers. So doing a blues record, you think that he would definitely bring Paul Rodgers in. He certainly did a wonderful performance here. Paul Rodgers has got that soulful voice, perfectly suited for Albert King, that song. His performance is powerful, it's heartfelt. It's backed by Slash's sort of emotive guitar playing. Paul Rodgers to me was always born to sing the blues, and this track is a testament to that. He's got that velvety, smooth, classic thing that Paul Rodgers does. Even at his age now, he still has an amazing voice. The band are tight, guys. They're really tight, and it's great to hear Paul working with Slash again. Slash's solos on this, they're classic. I think he truly plays like a classic bluesman on this record, and this song is no exception. And the more I listen to this, I thought to myself it would be great to hear Slash work with Paul Rodgers more again. I hope they do more work together. I gave it a 9.5 out of 10, guys, and never a skip. Simon.
Yeah, it's the perfect song for Paul Rodgers, isn't it? It's got that kind of funky kind of groove to it that and I think that is very kind of reminiscent of Free, isn't it? Kind of like a lot of the Free vibe on this. And man, can he still sing?
Yeah,
he's still got all his vocal chops, isn't he, Paul Rodgers and things. So it's a kind of I got that vibe, and I think it's a great track. I think it's it's got a fantastic groove to it as well, and I think that's always really important.
Yeah.
They didn't do it too fast. They kept it to that mid-tempo so that it swings. And he's in great voice. I think You know, I love it when he gets to the second solo. He just, you hear him off mic going, "Testify," before Slash goes into. I love those little asides and stuff in it, and there's quite a lot of little asides on this record that's great. I give it 9 out of 10. I could listen to it, or I could listen to Paul Rodgers all day. You know, and I love that kind of cool.
I actually
funky
wrote
groove.
that, Simon. I could listen to Paul Rodgers all day. I forgot to mention it.
Yeah. Well, there we are. Me too. It's the perfect song for Paul Rodgers, and the perfect execution. 9 out of 10. Never a skip. Andrew.
Yeah, Free, one of my favourite bands, and we've been fortunate to rank a couple of their albums, and we've got a few more to rank from this wonderful band, Stool, Brad, haven't we, on the channel. I was really excited to read, that Paul Rodgers was singing another great song that we all know on this album, and when this came out, I think I would have. I think I listened to this not in sequence, Simon. I think I cheated. I think I listened to this maybe the second or third song. I didn't listen to it like a record. Only because I am a Free fan, and Paul Rodgers, was giving Robert Plant, and Mick Jagger and a lot of these singers in the late 60s and early 70s a run for the money. He was up there.
Yeah.
As a
Free Bad Company.
Singer. As a vocalist, and as you said, Brad, and he's carried it on, to singing with Queen and and all these other projects that he does. So I wasn't disappointed when I heard this. You got to remember, bro, how old would this guy, he'd be 78, 79, he's getting on a bit.
Yes.
He is,
yeah.
He's still got it. And for a guy, for a guy that age to come out and sound like that, and a little bit like Keith, a little bit like Mick Jagger with that album, Hackney Diamonds, that came out last year. Really surprised that these older guys can still sing in the studio. When you go and hear them live, obviously it's going to be a different story, isn't it? But clearly
live
they've
is
got
different.
He's 74. He's 74.
Okay. So he's not a spring chicken, but he sounds phenomenal. And good to see that he's got a legend. I'm talking about Slash here, another legend, getting a great legend on to help him sing a track. Perfect track for him to sing, bro. Perfect track for him.
Yeah.
Clearly they worked that out. That's all I'm going to say. I've got some other notes here. You guys have covered it. I've given this a 9.5 out of 10, bro. I wanted to give it a 10 out of 10, but bro, you know me, bit stingy sometimes.
Yeah.
9 out of 10 is not stingy.
Stingy when you're 5 out of 10 for Iggy, poor bugger.
Yeah, well, that's been generous. Hey? Yeah, that's
more than he deserved. Yes.
Yeah. That's it. That's Iggy getting a bonus.
Well, let's hope we can bring the credibility to this song. Papa Was a Rolling Stone featuring Demi Lovato, and wow, this take on this Temptations classic, Papa Was a Rolling Stone, is ambitious to say the least. Her vocal style is, perfect in a sense where it fits perfectly with the way the band's recorded this song. I think it's the song has depth, and it's different to the original, but it's got the original vibe. I can't really describe that in words the way I'm trying to put it. It's not disconnected. It's got there's a bit of unity there. The band is really tight. and the way she sings on it is very loose, so it gives that whole live energy vibe. I like that. I like it when the singers sing loose over the top of something that sounds really tight. I put highlights here. I put, wow, I'm surprised by this. Demi sings amazingly on this. The wah-wah, the talk box playing. It's stuff we love on this channel. We talk about, wah-wah pedals all the time. And to hear wah-wah pedal, you can't do a blues record without adding wah in it somewhere. And that to me is, the minute you put wah-wah pedal in somewhere, I'm all over it like a fat kid on a cupcake. All right. And hearing Slash play the talk box, I mean, he's made that a bit of a signature thing for him, the Peter Frampton thing and whatnot. But I've got to say, Slash's lead guitar playing on this is unbelievable. The band are kicking ass. I think the vocals are fantastic. I think this is one of the highlights of the album, and I gave it 100 out of 10, guys, and never a skip. I absolutely love it. I love it. I'm thinking, by looking at the response of Andrew there, that we're going to get another 5 out of 10. Simon, I'll hand it over to you.
Well, okay. Well, you might get a 5 out of 10, but it might not be from Andrew.
Oh, a couple of timeouts coming.
Well, it's that's something a bit cheeky, but I agree. I think that it starts off fantastic. The band is fantastic. They're really tight, and they've got with the wah-wah guitar at the beginning. That all works, and the keys and the guitar riff that's all great. I'm afraid, and this is purely personal, I can't get on with her voice at all. Too much bloody warbling. Will you stop the vibrato and stop trying too hard and back off and just sing the bloody song? I felt, sorry, I got a thing about too much, will you stop that? It just drives me nuts, to be honest. It's just unnatural. It's an unnatural, over emotive thing, and I don't like it. I prefer people just to back off and sing. You've got an emotion to it, it'll be there, don't worry about it. So I couldn't really get on with her voice. It just it spoils it for me, I'm afraid, the voice. It's a purely personal thing. I'm not a huge fan of that modern way of singing, that seems to be everybody does it. I just don't have a fan, I'm just not a fan of it, really. And Whitney Houston has much to answer for when the vibrato warbling sticks. I understand she's a fantastic singer. I can't bear it. It just, it really grates with me. I thought she much worse than Iggy Pop.
Oh,
much worse than Iggy Pop. So I think, as I say, I think I think also in the middle, I don't know if you thought that, I thought that when it kind of does that drop, the drums are too heavy. The singing was too much, and the bass drum has got a real. I thought you need to just back that off a bit. It's a production complaint. I thought if you need to back so that it wasn't, because it too much. It just sounds like it's not got a groove to it. It stops having a groove because you're doing that. Dum, dum, dum. Sounds like a mad building a shed. But so I'm not a huge fan of that one, but that's a kind of personal thing, not so much. But I agree with you. I think the guitar solo, the drop down with the wah-wah guitars, I think the solos are great, and he plays phenomenally, Slash. I mean, I give the backing 9 out of 10. I give the singing 3 out of 10. You could take your pick of the scores for that. I'm sorry, what can I do, guys? She's a woman making a living in music. She's a 10 out of 10, right? Okay, in the ability, for her ability to do it. For me personally, as a thing that I want to listen to, I can't do it. I don't like. I just didn't get on with it, and for me, it just wasn't it, really. But that's my problem. It's not her. She's clearly not. She's clearly fantastically talented and stuff, but I just don't like it. Oh dear, Andrew, get me out of this.
I'm going to agree with John. I don't like vocal gymnastics either, but I don't think Debbie was overdoing it. But I can hear what you'd say there, Simon. Like I can hear it, so I can understand, you know, why you could either like it or dislike it. Is what I'm saying. So.
Yeah, so I accept this is entirely my fault and my bad. But anyway, Andrew, get me out of this.
Oh no, I agree with what you're saying about the vocals. I'm not a fan of the modern vocal style either, especially when women are singing. Of the, you know, the forced vocals. I don't know what the actual technical term is. Bent Tom's made a comment. You know, every time they sing the national anthem in America, they do that. Well, every time they sing the national anthem in New Zealand now, they do that too. So you can't even sing along with the national anthem anymore, you know, because it's, yeah. But anyway, getting back to the song, you know, the bass, there's bass on this, Brad, and the drums and the wah pedal, you know, and the ride cymbals, you know, that have been played. It's fantastic. It comes in and it's got that vibe, you know. Is the singing awful that I won't listen to it again? Well, it's not that bad. I'd listen to this track again, Simon. You didn't say that. Is that always a skip?
Oh well, sometimes a skip. Yeah, sometimes I've got to be in the mood to get for it. But
yeah. So I get exactly where you're coming from with the vocals. It's not my cup of tea either, but I think it's covered and it's made up by the band, as you've said, because you've given the band a 9 out of 10. I've given this track, Brad, to get the track moving on, because we've got a few more to do. But I've given this track 8 out of 10, Brad, and sometimes a skip. Sometimes a skip because of that wobbly wobble vocals, which again isn't me. Tony's asked a question about Beth Hart. Wait till we get to the Beth Hart song, Tony, before we answer that, please. We don't want to give anything away. If that's okay, true. Please. If that's okay. Next track, Brad.
All right. Well, we're up to track 9, Killing Floor, which is, you know, always one of my favorite blues tracks to listen and perform and play. It's just a really fun song. Brian Johnson from AC/DC with his performance on this Howling Wolf Killing Floor. He's singing in a lower register than usual, and his voice adds like a real raw, gritty edge to the track. I believe Slash encouraged him to sing in the lower octave because when he first started singing it, it was sounding too much like AC/DC or like him trying to sing like he was in AC/DC. He goes, no, I like where it was when he went down. So they made him sing in that lower register, which is something quite different for Brian Johnson. And it adds that rawness to the track. I love it. And this is the first single that was released from the album, guys. And I was so excited when I heard this because I thought, oh, wow, this is going to be a good album. I can tell I'm really looking forward to this. And I have listened to this song probably the most out of the whole album just because solely it came out before the album was released. So, you know, hearing the highlights for me, you know, hearing Brian's voice in its register was fantastic. I mean, Slash's guitar work, it's intense, it's fiery, you know, making this like a standout on the album for me. This take on this riff is unreal. Slash's solos are timeless on this. The band are cooking on this one. The production, I mean, I mentioned it at the start of the whole thing. The production of this record is great, but this was the first song that I heard off this album, and it made me think, wow, man, I'm hearing everything. I'm hearing the timbre of the guitars. I'm hearing the strings vibrating. I'm hearing I'm hearing the skins on the kick drum. It's something, it's been recorded really, really well. The harmonica player, Steven Tyler, it's unreal. I love it. And the way he puts the harmonica on it, it's got a real quirkiness to it. And then the solo he does, I love how he does the call and response himself where he goes, with the distorted. It's brilliant. I mean,
that's funny, isn't it? Yeah.
And it was done, from my understanding, in one take. He walked in, did it in one take, walked out. Done. Thank you. I'm done. I mean, that's brilliant. He's a genius, this guy. And I know I've spoken about it a lot, but a highlight. Did I mention Slash's solo? It's unreal. I mean, I don't know how many times I've listened to this since its release, but I gave it 100 out of 10, guys, and I think it's probably one of the highlights of the whole record. And I'm glad they released it first. And it probably, going back to Hoss's thing, it probably could have been a good opening track for the album.
Yes. Yeah. The argument's already started on what's the best opening track. I agree. I agree. I think, that Brian Johnson, Jonas must have made the interesting point that Brian Johnson singing that low thing is quite like Tom Jones. That's a Tom Jones chorus shirt, and I think that's a really good call, really interesting call. That singing down there, absolutely, it's a killer version, isn't it, of Killing Floor? It's great. It's again not although I'm clearly very familiar with it. I in my head it's not. I have not had it overplayed, and stuff. I've heard it a million times. I think Brian Johnson, as you say, Brad, I love that harp solo with the shouting through the harp. I just think it's a really cool effect, and great guitar solo, and it's a 9.5 out of 10 and never a skip. It's a it's a really good version of it. Fantastic. Andrew,
thanks, buddy. Tony has hit the nail on the head, and so has Jonas. They've hit the nail on the head, because if you go and listen to a band called Geordie, one of the early bands that Brian played in, you'll actually hear that he's singing like this, Brad, like Tom, So he had a career singing like this. And so obviously when he joined AC/DC, clearly had to, find another scale, another tone in his voice, Simon, to match that power that was behind him with AC/DC. But go and check out Geordie and some of the songs that Geordie were playing, and then you get an idea that these guys, brought up on the blues, Brad, So I agree with you. I'm going to echo everything that you said. This was the first track that we heard. This was the first track that got you and I talking and the Rock Professor talking. Holy cow. This album, this is going to be a really good album. Because this sounds really good. This ain't mucking around. I agree with you, bro. This is a 10 out of 10. It's never a skip. One of the standout tracks on the album for me. It's the one that piqued my interest. And yeah, if they had opened the album up with this track, I would have been okay with it too. Ahead of the one with Chris. But yeah, this is definitely never a skip, Brad.
Yeah. Bloody excellent. Next track. Track 10, Living for the City, featuring Tash and Neil. This is a Stevie Wonder song, and it's a bold song to cover, a bold song choice. It's not a traditional blues song, but they've put a blues sort of feel to this. Tash and Neil's vocals work really well. Stevie Wonder's voice is always hard to, his vocal stylings and whatnot. He's a difficult artist to think I'm going to cover one of his songs and do it credit or do it justice. And I think Tash Neil did it quite well. He's paid, justice to Stevie Wonder without trying to sound like him. He's got his own edge, which is fantastic. They pull it off with confidence and style. They're delivering like a real fresh and engaging take on this classic. The highlights for me are the tightness of this band, the way they perform this song. This is not an easy song to perform as a band, and they pull it off outstandingly. I'll put Tash Neil's vocal is fantastic. I've always loved this song. I love Stevie Wonder, and I think this is a great take on it. Slash plays outstanding on this. His solo you know, it's outstanding. It's fantastic. The way they play the main melody part together, it's so tight. The band are, you know, cooking. You know, they're I'm not going to say the fat kid thing, but they're cooking. The BVs, you know, it's got that gospel styling towards the end of the song, and I think it's a wonderful addition to this song, and it's placed perfectly on the album. I think, you know, this wouldn't have worked at the start of the album somewhere. It works really well at this tail end of the record, and I think it adds a little bit of flavor to the record. It's not all traditional blues. It's got a little bit of something different, a blues feel to a Stevie Wonder song, which Stevie Wonder's a little bit more soul and funk and things like that. So I think it's a fantastic addition, and you know, I'm glad they put this on the record. I gave it 10 out of 10, guys, and never a skip. Simon.
Cool. Unseated, thank you for joining us, bro.
Yeah.
Yes. Welcome and good morning, Unseated. Nice to see you. Yeah, I agree. You can feel like the album's sort of opening up, isn't it? It's got, you know, we've had the Demi Lovato track, and now we've had this one, and kind of more of a kind of that soul thing that taps into, you know, in the old version of R&B. Really, when they were much more closely linked, and R&B meant something different than it does now. But I think, you know, I think it's great. I think it does, you know, great soaring bluesy solos. I think they're fantastic.
Yeah.
I think that, you know, the drop down to just the bass jumps and keys at about 3.5 minutes is really good as well. And nice false ending too, as a, you know, as a thing.
Yeah.
I must say, for some reason, this must be just me, I didn't quite engage with it. Then there's, for me, the slightly, this is me. I don't think it's terrible by any means, but I'm giving it an 8 out of 10, probably, because I don't know, for some reason I didn't quite engage with it as a I think maybe the singing didn't quite engage me. I'm not sure, to be honest. I've listened to it. I'm not skipping it, by the way. It's not a skip at all. But somehow for some reason, and I listened to it about 5 times this week, and I couldn't quite understand what it was that I'll continue thinking about it. Well, I didn't quite engage with it in the same way as lots of the other tracks. So it's an 8 out of 10 for me, which is not a bad score, and I would never skip it. You know, so it's a great version of it. Completely. Maybe because I know the Stevie Wonder version really well. Maybe it got overshadowed a bit by the Stevie Wonder, and I started comparing the two, and there is no comparing with Stevie Wonder. You know, he's one of the greats, and maybe that's why I'm giving an 8 out of 10 rather than more. But ignore me, guys. It's a great track, and they do it fantastically well. As I say, my engagement but that's my bad, not theirs.
Still a good
Andrew.
score. Yeah. Andrew.
I was really, really interested that this song was on the album when I read it. Really, really interested because, as you guys have already said, you know, Stevie Wonder's version of this song's iconic, isn't it? It's just brilliant. It was a song that brought him back into the public's attention, you know, when it was released. Just had so much going on, this track, you know, with keyboards and that electronic stuff that he had going. Simon at the time, you know, it was just, revolutionary. And the bass that was on it, I forget the bass player, you know, it was just, and hooking into that groove. And I thought, like you, Brad, wow, how's this going to work on a blues album?
Yeah.
Didn't know anything about this Tash cat, but boy, I was really, really surprised when I heard this track. It blew me away. It was enough of a familiar tone there for me to appreciate what it was linking back to, and I dug that. I think that guy Tash is just a phenomenal vocalist. Don't know anything about him, bro. Didn't do any research. I purposely came on here and kept away from doing any of that kind of research because I wanted to see what you guys had to say. who's playing the keyboards?
Teddy Zigzag Andreas, who used to play in Guns N' Roses.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
You know, does a fine job. Really blown away by it. And I was doing some thinking too, and you know, people might say, why is this on a blues album? But what you have to remember is that at this time when they released this originally, Simon, have you got Google there? When did they release this Stevie Wonder album? Because from what I remember reading, this was considered urban blues for some black folks because it wasn't heavily soul. It wasn't in Stevie at the time wasn't in the soul camp as a soul.
No.
Yeah.
No. Well, although this is one of his. This is the first of his 3 albums.
Yes.
Limit City was out in 1973. So
yes.
You know, but he was assisted by Malcolm Cecil and Robert Margouleff, who were Tonto's Expanding Headband, if you remember them.
Yes.
And basically, they did. It's a Moog bass on it, so they programmed the Moog bass and the synthesizers, and Stevie Wonder clearly did the lead vocals, the background vocals, and the Fender Rhodes piano on it. So, you know, there's some other couple of people doing, you know, New York police attorney and officer and stuff, and other voices and things on it. But then it was viewed very, as I said earlier, it's viewed very much as a kind of soul, you know, soul funk record. But soul and funk was very closely associated with blues and R&B. You know.
Yeah. And what's interesting though, from what I'm reading, it's not what the record companies or the reviewers were saying. The black people that were listening to the music never considered what Stevie Wonder was doing was soul music, if that makes any sense. They never. He was considered more of a quote unquote a blues. So if Slash is doing this and Tasha doing this because they know their rock and roll history, well, they've done well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, you know, from you know, and I'm sure that these guys do know their history. But yeah, Brad, I was pleasantly blown away because they could have cocked this up and they didn't. I've given this a 9.5 out of 10, and one of the big surprises, bro, on the album, and I'll always listen to it. Never a skip, Simon. Never a skip. Like you.
Oh no, it's not skip. No.
Yeah, it was a really pleasant surprise, like you said, Andrew. That one, I was really happy to hear that. And you know, I always say it's good to mix up an album, you know, all blues and put something a little bit odd in there and give it a blues feel. It's good. It's you know, it's always good to do that.
Morning, Kubrick. Hope you're good.
So we're up to the second last track, Stormy Monday, which is featuring Beth Hart, and I'm a fan of Beth Hart. I think she does have an amazing voice and sings really powerful. I love the stuff she's done with Joe Bonamassa as well, and you know, her solo career is fantastic as well. And it was a really good choice to get Beth Hart in to do this song. I think Stormy Monday. This is probably the sort of guessing, but I'm pretty sure this is the only minor key song on the record. And you know, you put a minor key song on in between a bunch of major keys, and that sort of mellow, sadder blues vibe, you're gonna have a singer come in and have to do something pretty special. Let's be honest. And Stormy Monday is always a standout track when it comes to blues performances. It's a classic T-Bone Walker song, and I think her performance is intensely emotional. At times, maybe a little bit too much, but if you know Beth Hart well, you understand it. So if you didn't know Beth Hart previously or hearing her work previously, you think at times during this performance she's overdoing it a little bit, but knowing what she's like in her work with Bonamassa and her solo stuff and with other, you know, collabs she's done, I think her work complements Slash's guitar playing and is perfectly This rendition is both faithful in a sense to the original, but giving a contemporary sort of energy and edge to it as well. But I do like, you know, how it changes a little bit throughout the song, which I'll get to in a minute. This was a real pleasant surprise to me, this song. I've written here the highlights. Well, Slash's outstanding lead guitar work on this is the highlight, without a doubt. Love the intro to the song. It's beautifully played and presented. You know, and you got to remember, guys, this was them live in the studio. There was no overdubs here. This is live, yeah. So this was a vibe. They were going for a vibe here, and Slash, his lead guitar work is outstanding. There's a laid back feel, but it's tight. The band are performing outstandingly. I think her vocal performance is seductively sultry, heartfelt, and there's a painful, raw, and brilliant edge to it. The more I listened to it, the more the vocals sat in the song. At first, it poked out a little bit too much for me. I was like, I don't know what's going on here. But the more I listened to it, the more I understood what she was doing. And I think it really settled down into the song. And I think that's what, if you listen to brilliant performances, sometimes you take them back the first time you listen to it. You've got to listen to it twice, 3 times before it sinks in. And that's what this did for me, because I'm used to hearing people sing it very laid back, this song. Guys, I mean, let's think about the way most blues artists perform this song, and they sing it very laid back. So she's really pushing in this song. And I think the thing that, you know, works well is that she's playing off Slash's guitar playing, and he's himself is playing in a minor key, which is one of his specialties. He plays solos that are all feel in a minor key. He expresses himself emotionally through the guitar on the fretboard, and I love the way he does that. I love the key change that's in the song around the 6-minute mark or just past it or wherever. The song lifts, and the organ vibe gives it a real gospel feel. This song really surprised me, because the more I listened to it, the more I fell in love with it. At first, like I said, it's sort of like a bit of a sore thumb. I was like, what? But I wasn't expecting to hear it like it was. And the more I listen to it, the more I love it. And for that reason, I'm giving it a 10 out of 10, and never skip, guys. Simon.
Yeah, I agree. I love the vocals. I think she's a great vocalist, Beth Hart, and I think this is the type of song that really suits her. She's got that kind of bit quite raspy, bluesy voice that for which this is perfect for. And I think she does a fantastic job of singing it myself. I think all the emotion is there. I didn't ever feel as though she overdid it. And I have to say, I thought it was, it was fine. It fitted that kind of smoky, bluesy thing that this song is, and they don't, they have it as a slow blues, I think it's in 6/8 time as well. It's the only one with 6/8 time. I think possibly somebody can correct if I'm not. It's yes, I do like it, John. Yes, I know it's the second last song, but it's I love the solos. I think, as you say, Slash plays brilliantly. Those soaring bluesy solo that he does, the 225 with some interjections by Beth Hart is really good. And that change of key at just past 6 minutes, and it goes into kind of more boogie feel, doesn't it? As a kind of, it changes a bit into that kind of boogie, more sort of straightforward 12-bar blues thing, and with the organ, as you've said, which I think is, and great at the end, when Beth Hart says, "God, that was some effing badass." That's really good. I like that. Clearly she was into it. Clearly it went really well as far as she was concerned. And I agree. 9 out of 10, never a skip. Great version of it. Really like it.
Andrew.
Yeah, I agree with you, Hugh. I think one of the best versions has to be the Allman Brothers, but also I'm going to add the version that Clapton did at the Cream reunion.
Yes.
It's pretty, even though they never did that together when Cream were together. But I'm glad they did. And like you, Brad, I was a little bit sort of hesitant about how they were going to go with this song. But I knew Beth Hart, so I knew that she wouldn't cock it up, because you know the style that she's going to sing, So, and as you said in your intro, she goes back, has a long history. I think there's a DVD film of her and of a tour that her and Bonamassa didn't they? It's going back a few years now. And if you know anything, we were talking before about Chris Stapleton being the real deal. Well, Beth Hart's the real deal. She's been through some tough times in her life, drug use, and having to kick drugs, and Simon, rock and roll's full of those people, isn't it? And it's almost, it's not like you have to go through that to be authentic. But I think what we like is we like the fact that these people have gone through that process or that situation, because a lot of people haven't survived it. So we like the fact that people have survived it, if that makes any sense, Brad.
Yeah. Yep. Totally makes sense.
So she's the real deal. And again, I've got to agree with you. The intro on this song by Slash is just incredible.
Yeah, I agree.
It blew me away. I hadn't heard Slash play like this ever.
Mm-hmm.
And I hope he continues playing like this. I hope he's got more in him, because I don't think that he's tapped enough yet of that vein in him. He's got more to offer. The intro's just it's one of the best things on the album for me. And then it's backed up by Beth's incredible vocals, which I can't find fault in at all. Simon, you said it, she's got that attitude, that comes through her vocals, and it's real, as opposed to, and I don't want to be disrespectful, because we're not about that on this show. We're not about that, as opposed to Demi Lovato's vocals, which to me doesn't have authenticity. It's just somebody singing a song. But with Beth, and as he's pointed out, when she makes those comments at the end of the song, well, yeah, it's just like Tyler, isn't it? It's like stamping her mark, on the song.
Definitely. Yeah.
Sure. So, and I think this song might open up an audience for her, Brad.
Well, in my closing, which I'll get to, that's one of my points.
Yeah, I think this might open up, die-hard Slash fans into that may never have heard of Beth, and the only reason why we've heard of Beth is because we're Bonamassa fans. I'll be honest.
Yeah.
But I've given this a 10 out of 10 too, bro, and I just think there's a couple of standout tracks on this album, and this is definitely one of them for me. Never a skip, Brad. Never a skip.
Yeah. Well, we get to the last track on the album, guys, and it is an original. It's the only original on the album, and this, it's called Metal Chestnut, and it's an instrumental track, and it allows Slash to showcase his guitar prowess. It's not, life-changing guitar playing, but it's beautiful, and it's fitting to end the album, in my opinion. It highlights Slash's skill on the guitar, his artistry, in a more subdued manner compared to maybe the rest of the tracks. It fits the album perfectly as an album closer. You mentioned the mellow. Oh, the intro that you mentioned, Andrew, of the last track. Well, the intro on this track, that delicate guitar vibe, it's joyous, it's uplifting. And then when the drums kick in, it's got that beautiful melodic melody. It's brings a heaviness to how the song starts, but it's heavenly. The whole song is heavenly on guitar. It's hard to play like this. Technical players can't play like with this sort of feel that Slash has. And Slash is a technical guitar player, but there's just something quite unique about his feel, his timing of the notes and vibrato, and where he puts his bends. You can't dislike this vibe. I think this is where Slash expresses himself on the fretboard masterfully on this style of song. I think it's a perfect fitting last track, and I gave it 10 out of 10, guys, and never a skip. Simon.
Yeah, it's a kind of instrumental coda, isn't it? It's it's just a little thing at the end that thing. I agree with you. I think that the first half where he does that folky melody thing is very beautiful, and there's plays it beautifully, and some nice piano and organ with it, and then they come in with the sort of the bass drums and electric solo as the second half of it, and with a very kind of soaring melodic solo with a folky feel to it is really nice. Yeah. Interesting that putting it on at the end, I think is a thing. I give it 8 out of 10, but never a skip. I think it's a beautiful little instrumental coda. Andrew.
Yeah, I liked it, Brad. I listened to it a few times, and it's a delicate piece of work. I think that's probably the best way that I can describe it. It's definitely not welcome to the jungle, is it? It's definitely maybe giving us an indication of where he might be going with his next album. Maybe it's might be instrumentals, Simon, as you were saying, or hoping for might be some original instrumentals, but it may not be what you would normally associate music from Slash to be. I think he's put himself in a problem. He's got a problem now, hasn't he? How is he going to back up this great album, Brad? He's got a great album.
Well, I'll sum it all up in my closing, guys. But I think I'm grateful we went through this record. We finally got through it because I think it came out just on the first day when I arrived in London, and I was like, God damn! I'm glad we gave it a bit of time to settle, to really listen to it, So
I agree with what Hugh just said there. It's a beautiful little close. I too have given it a 10 out of 10, and maybe a blueprint or a signpost, Simon, of where Slash might be going.
Instrumental folk rock, eh?
Wow. What's wrong with that?
Oh, and there's nothing wrong with it. It just sounds funny when you say Slash, doesn't it? It's instrumental folk rock.
Yeah.
No, nothing wrong with that at all. Be fantastic.
Well, for me, on a closing note, I just want to say that I think Slash is a very smart musician, and he's, like you said, he's mapping out his history shows that he's a blues rock guitarist with Guns N' Roses, and I think he's mapping out his future a little bit with this album. He's starting to, in the late 90s, he did this for fun, but he wanted to do more of it, but he stuck with what people knew and loved with him, which was the hard rock thing. And I think now, because he's, you got to think about your future when you get older. Do you want to be playing Welcome to the Jungle when you're 70? Probably not. Maybe, he wants to be known as more of a blues guy moving forward. And, the blues are like the Serpent Festival. These blues artists are embracing him like he's been a blues artist his whole life. And you watch him playing with Eric Gales and Warren Haynes, and you're watching the way they interact and play, and he fits right with them. It's not like he sticks out like a sore thumb. He's just playing beautifully with them. So
you've hit the nail on the head, bro. What to jam with Warren Haynes and do that successfully, who clearly is one of the greatest blues rock guitar players in the world.
Yes.
You know, is a testament to Slash's ability.
Yeah. And I think he's a smart man. Like, who knows? We might see another Serpent Festival and another blues record out of Slash in another year or two. You know, I know for a fact he's going to keep the Conspirator thing going with Miles Kennedy, because he's got another album with that ready to go. Okay. So that'll be the next release for him. I know Guns N' Roses, well, who knows if they'll ever release anything ever again. You never know with Guns N' Roses. But, you know, he's mapping out his future. He can still do blues records till he can't do music no more. You know what I mean? Blues artists can go forever until they pass. So, you know, I think it's a really smart move. But the wonderful thing about this, for these other artists that have collaborated with Slash on this record, is it will open up avenues for them, because Slash obviously has a name. But the biggest thing for me is it will keep the blues flame alive, which it's great seeing a modern artist like Slash, who's well known, he's well acknowledged as a guitar hero, acknowledging some of these brilliant songs that were written so long ago by blues giants. So these guys flying the flag for the blues will make sure that this music will never get forgotten. And I think that's important for new blues artists to do so. And Slash is a new blues artist. Let's he's been around for a long time, but he's flying the flag for blues now, which is we need more artists to do that. We need that. So well done to Slash, and I think he's done an amazing thing here. So let's pray that we see more Slash blues records, guys.
Yeah, I have to agree with you, and the fact that he's teamed up with Gibson to bring that young audience that we were talking about at the beginning when Hoss was in here. You know, that's a smart move. Great move by Gibson to endorse and to back and to fund this album and this tour in some kind of way moving forward. And because it's a business, Simon and Brad, you know, and clearly, you know, the Gibson model of endorsing and backing an artist, especially an established one, is going to open up markets. Great.
How many, just on a different note, how many signature Slash guitars have Gibson done?
Oh.
That one every 5 years, isn't it? Yes.
I think even less, Simon. I think they do one every year, a different one.
Yeah.
But
don't forget the Epiphones as well. There's half a dozen Epiphones out there.
Yeah, that was just a cheeky little comment I was throwing out there, because
that's all right. That's
know, being a huge Slash fan, I wish I could afford to buy every single one that come out.
Me too.
Anyway, guys, I think it's just a really smart move, and I think we will see more, you know, Slash blues moving forward. I'm pretty sure.
Thank you, bro. And on blues, I want to remind everybody that next week we're going to be on. We're not ranking any albums next week. We're going to be talking about an album. Behind this album here is the Beano album. It's going to be the 58th anniversary of the Beano album next week. So we're going to do a couple of shows on the channel. I haven't worked out how we're going to do it with the North American guys, but please hit the notification button if you want to watch us with the American guys. We'll be probably early New Zealand time, so for some of the Australian people that are watching, it might be early morning for you guys. And then we're going to be here same time with Brad, the rock professor. I think Hugh's going to jump on. I think Jim's going to jump on. I think who else is going to jump on? I think, and we're going to talk about the Beano album, Simon.
We are, yeah. Well, I might jump on it depends what time you're doing the American. I might jump on the American one too.
Yeah,
Okay,
I haven't finalised that, but I'll keep you guys in the loop though. How we're going to do that.
Now I'm a gentleman of leisure.
Yeah, so we're going to have a busy week on the channel because on the Saturday New Zealand time we're going to have a Van Halen show. So we're going to have John Conklin on, Tanner on, and another young guy on talking about wet setups. So we're going to be busy, Brad, on the channel.
Perfect. That's what we like to see it. Loved.
Thank you. Thank you, bro. But yeah, we'll be doing the main show here, talking about the Beano album. Thank you, bro. I'm looking at the time. 2 hours and 10 minutes. I want to thank Brad for picking this album. We kind of knew we were going to do this album, folks. We'd jacked this up a long time ago, weeks ago. Yeah. We knew we were going to do it, didn't we? So
yeah. No, look. When I was away on tour, I was listening to it, and it gave me more of a chance to settle with it and listen to it, which was good. So.
And then the Rock Professor, I think it's the Rock Professor's turn to pick an album for the week after.
Okay, I'll think about that. No worries.
Yeah. Well, Brad's picked this album. So
I had an idea earlier, and I've forgotten what it is. Oh, yes, I know what it is.
Okay. So keep an eye out for that. So the Rock Professor will let us know maybe next week when we're doing the Beano special. What that album will be. But thank you, Brad. Thank you, bro, for picking this album. Thank you, Slash, for giving us a modern classic. Yep. And I'm going to ask you to say some last words, Simon, and then hand it over to Brad. And then we'll go.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you never quite know how these things are going to go. And I've really enjoyed it. I've been driving around in the car, listening to it and stuff, and really enjoying it. And as I say, I'm never quite sure how these go, but the sound of it is great. And I think he picked some tremendous artists to collaborate with on the singing front. I don't know. I do have one small criticism of it, and maybe I'll be interested in what you guys think. Do you think it's a bit long? I think maybe some of the songs could have been cut down a bit. It's fine. They're fine, and I'm not complaining about the fact that. But I did kind of sometimes feel like, I wonder if a good producer would have kind of stopped this a bit earlier. Maybe I did think that maybe 60 minutes was a bit long myself. I'm not objecting. I'm just putting it out for a discussionary point, really.
I'm not sure. Not sure about that, to be honest with you, because it is a blues record, and let's be honest, most blues records are. I mean, there's probably less
long.
Probably less songs on a traditional blues record, but modern day records usually have 14 to 16 songs these days,
which to me is too many.
It's different, but I'm quite content with the length of the songs and the album. I think if there was a couple more songs on it, might be too much all in one hit, but yeah.
I agree. I think that was it 13, 12 songs. 12 songs is, I thought that was, that's, I don't think it should be longer than 12. I'm a great fan of, 40 minutes and, 10 songs kind of thing, and, as a general thing. I'm much more a fan of the album than I am a CD. I know you can get 70 minutes on a CD. Doesn't mean you have to. Yeah. No, that's fine. That's one of the things that struck me when I was listening to it about.
Yeah.
But it's fantastic, and I have really enjoyed it, and I will continue to listen to it because it's great. It's great, especially for driving around the countryside on it. It's brilliant for that.
Well, guys, it's been great to do this album. Thanks for letting me pick this one, gentlemen, and thanks for having me stumble through this one. It's back on the horse, back in the saddle again. It was good. It wasn't as bad as I thought I'd be. But again, thank you guys. Thank you everyone who joined in. It's really cool to see everyone in the chat again. It's really cool to see everyone ranking and doing their homework. It makes the show more enjoyable from our perspective.
Brilliant. So
keep doing that. It's fantastic. For anyone who is watching this and haven't subscribed, please do. We love having new people join us. And if you're lurking and you're not putting anything in the chat, that's fine as well. But we'd love to see your comments there so we can acknowledge you and say hello. And yeah, it's really cool to be back. And thank you, gentlemen, for a wonderful show. It's great. So